So, we're going to look at something I forgot, but a really, really good video from Steve Jobs as he was coming back to Apple in 1997, I think it was, where Steve Jobs insults respond in high quality, where he responds to someone basically insulting him. There are so many lessons in this little video that us tech people could learn from. So let's dive into it. Let's see someone being cheeky towards good old Jobs.
Yes.
Mr. Jobs, you're a bright and influential man.
So let's lick his ass, basically. But yeah. So a lot of people, when they're going to criticize you, they give you a compliment to like take down your guards and they stab you in the face. And you can see right now he's already suspicious.
Here it comes.
It's sad and clear that on several counts you've discussed, you don't know what you're talking about. I would like, for example, for you to express in clear terms how, say, Java, in any of its incarnations, addresses the ideas embodied in OpenDoc. And when you're finished with that, perhaps you could tell us what you personally have been doing for the last 7 years.
This would be a typical YouTube commenter, or a Reddit poster, or a Twitter poster, and stuff like that. This is what they did back then. They couldn't go on to Twitter and Reddit and be like, oh, I know better than you and all that fucking shit. So they go on to, they go into forums like this and do it, or bulletin boards back then.
You can please some of the people some of the time, but one of the hardest things when you're trying to affect change is that people like this gentleman are right in some areas.
And again, we have to remember that the most obnoxious person that you talk to or see or hear, the saying, every lie has some truth to it. Every shit poster, every angry troll, every fucking obnoxious idiot on the internet, if you boil it down, there are some things that they say that is right. It's just mostly obscured by them being idiots. Toxic fucking idiots. But there are some truth to it. That don't mean you should listen to them or take their advice and stuff like that, but there are some truth to it. There may be like 1% of what they're saying may be something that you should listen to. And then 99% of the rest is just basically them being fucking mouth-drooling, head-banging, wall-banging, dog-fucking, goat-fucking idiots, basically.
I'm sure that there are some things OpenDoc does, probably even more that I'm not familiar with, that nothing else out there does. And I'm sure that you can make some demos, maybe a small commercial app that demonstrates those things. The hardest thing is, how does that fit in to a cohesive, larger vision that's going to allow you to sell $8 billion, $10 billion of product a year?
So what he's saying right here is that you think you are smarter than me. You think that what you are saying is right. You know everything. You are the right one here and I'm the wrong one. Why am I the one with all the fucking money? Why am I the one that makes companies and you're just sitting there bitching over whatever you're bitching over? That's what he's saying. Are you right? Probably. But just because you're right, that don't mean that you can do the same things as I can do. Being right don't mean that you're right. So, and he will go into this later on. Say what I'm saying here. Being right don't mean that you're right. So what's right on a technical level may not be good for consumer. What's technical superior may not be good for consumer. And again, like I said, us technical people, we can learn a lot from this because what we like technical advanced stuff. Consumers just want to use it. They don't care about how technical advanced it is. They want cool shit to use. But we think everyone thinks like us. We think that everyone thinks like an engineer, a programmer, a administrator and stuff like that. When in reality, they just care about cool fucking shit. And that's what Steve Jobs understood. He understood how to take the technical advanced shit and making cool shit out of it. So now you see a person that thinks like an engineer, a tech person, that have no insight into how the rest of the world, aka 99% of the rest of the world, works. And then you have Steve Jobs that can see how 99% of the world works and how the engineering world works, and merge them together. That was his superpower.
And one of the things I've always found is that you've got to start with the customer experience and work backwards to the technology.
Listen to this. How is someone going to use my idea? Let's talk Linux. Instead of saying Linux is more secure than Windows, instead of saying Linux is more stable than Windows, instead of saying Linux is better because it's open source than Windows, all things that 99% of the world don't give a fuck about. You should ask yourself, how or why would someone use Linux over Windows? What would make a customer want to use? Because a user is a customer. It's just another word for user. What would make a user go from Windows to Linux? What would make a mom go from Windows to Linux? What would make a school go from Windows to Linux? It's not because of the superiority of technology. It's what does it bring to the organization, to the human. Is this going to make my life easier, convenient, or is it going to be a hassle?
You can't start with the technology and try to figure out where you're going to try to sell it. And I've made this mistake probably more than anybody else in this room.
Well, Linux desktop users have been making that mistake since 1992.
And I've got the scar tissue to prove it. And I know that it's the case. And as we have tried to come up with a strategy and a vision for Apple, it started with what incredible benefits can we give to the customer? Where can we take
Listen to this. Just listen to this.
the customer? Not starting with, let's sit down with the engineers and figure out what awesome technology we have, and then how are we going to market that?
People don't care about technology. The only people that care about technology are technology people. Engineers, coders, developers, administrators, and stuff like that. Hobbyists. We are the only one caring about that. Like, there's so much gold. And yes, this is from 1997. This is true to this day.
And I think that's the right path to take.
Well, Apple is the most successful and richest company in the world. They have more money in cash than some country has because of these principles. So I will say that probably onto something. I don't personally really like the Apple company, but I can definitely see and agree upon that they have done a lot of fucking success stories. And they have, like, if you want to run a business and your goal is to be as rich as fucking possible, you have Microsoft, Apple, IBM, Oracle, Google. Look at how they are doing businesses. That's not how you do it on the open source world. It's totally different.
I remember with the laser writer,
you probably are not old enough to remember that, but think about a printer that do great shit.
we built the world's first small laser printers, you know. And there was awesome technology in that box. We had the first Canon cheap laser printing engine in the world, in the United States here at Apple. We had a very wonderful printer controller that we designed. We had Adobe's PostScript software in there. We had Apple Talk in there. Just awesome technology in the box. And I remember seeing the first printout come out of it, and just picking it up and looking at it and thinking, you know, we can sell this. Because you don't have to know anything about what's in that box. All we have to do is hold this up and go, do you want this?
There. What he found out there is that the technology that's amazing and interesting and fun produce something that people actually fucking want. He don't have to go out and say, oh, we're having the most advanced printing system in the world. No, he just have to say, like he does there, this is fucking cool, right? You can get this. And that's, again, how we should also look at it from Windows. On the Linux side, we should be able to take a Linux distro and do exactly that. Show it to people and they're like, wow, I want that. Not because it's open source, it's more stable, secure, and all that shit, but because it's giving the user something they really, really want.
And if you can remember back to 1984, before laser printers, it was pretty startling to see that. People went, whoa, yes. And that's where Apple's got to get back to. And, you know, I'm sorry that OpenDoc's a casualty along the way, and I readily admit there are many things in life that I don't have the faintest idea what I'm talking about. So I apologize for that too. But there's a whole lot of people working super, super hard right now at Apple. You know, Avi, John, Garino, Fred. I mean, the whole team is working, burning the midnight oil, trying to, and people, you know, hundreds of people below them, to execute on some of these things, and they're doing their best.
The most superior technological systems, most of the time, is not the most popular. Because why they are so technologically inferior is because they've spent a lot of time focusing on that, and not about how is people actually going to use it. It's not just about the technology, it's about how is people going to use it and why would they.
And I think that what we need to do, and some mistakes will be made, by the way. Some mistakes will be made along the way. That's good, because at least some decisions are being made along the way. And
yes. Yes, sometimes you have to make a stand and draw a line in the sand, and sometimes that line don't turn out well. And you take your losses, you learn from your experience, and you move on.
we'll find the mistakes, we'll fix them. And I think what we need to do is support that team going through this very important stage as they work their butts off. They're all getting calls, being offered 3 times as much money to go do this, do that. The Valley's hot. None of them are leaving. And I think we need to support them and see them through this and write some damn good applications to support Apple out in the market. That's my own point of view. Mistakes will be made. Some people will be pissed off. Some people will not know what they're talking about. But I think it is so much better than where things were not very long ago. And I think we're going to get there.
Again, love or hate this dude here, or dude over there. Love or hate him. He understood something that most technical people don't understand. No, like I said, we normally would have a technical person and we will have a consumer UI person over here, and they don't get along well. What the technical person here value, they don't value. These are the ones making the products. These are the ones bitching and moaning about not being consumable enough. These are telling these one over here that you over here are stupid. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Because you don't understand the technical side of it. But I just want to use it. Oh, fuck off, man. You're just a consumer. You know nothing. That's how the conversation go. Steve Jobs knew how to make them into a big... What is it? Hard? Can I do this? Hard. You know, make them merge together. Make the engineers understand, you know, or make the engineers understand the consumers and the users of the products and software, and make it go up in a unit. And that may mean that the engineers over here had to be like, oh, technology, and like, okay, let's not go too much about that and be like, oh, well, you need this? Yeah, I need to do this. Well, I have this product that can do that. That's really, really great. Fine. You know, they need to be more humble. Because these over here, they think that everyone over here thinks like they do, and they don't. And that's why we need a Steve Jobs or someone with his talent that can see what they are doing over here that's amazing. And we have to let these people go nuts. Dream big, go do all of the fucking shit that they want to do. But we need someone that can bridge the gap and say, oh, these guys over here have done some amazing stuff that these guys and girls over here could utilize. How can we bridge that together? That's what this is about. This is why a lot of us people, us tech nerds and stuff, that we could learn a lot from Steve Jobs. Just from this little video. See you all later. Bye-bye.